Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're back at Celtic Park because things are flying thick and fast. We just won here on Saturday 4-0. The last time I left this stadium, you've seen the state that I was in. It might have not been the cleanest, but we got there. But we're going to be back tomorrow night because we take on Real Madrid on the biggest stage of them all, the UEFA Champions League. The group stage kicks off tomorrow. Celtic welcome the current European champions to paradise. It's the biggest game of the season so far, and you know what? We're rightly feeling confident right now. A bit of a different match preview video today because I had the opportunity to be at Celtic Park and be in amongst it all with the pre-match press conference. We spoke to Ange and we spoke to Matt O'Reilly ahead of tomorrow's huge game, two European heavyweights. It's undoubtedly the biggest Champions League game of the week. You're looking at 14-time winners, Real Madrid taking on Celtic, the winners of the 1967, the first British side to win the European Cup. There's two huge clubs, two institutions in European football, and it's the kind of games you dream of. You know, how long have we waited to welcome Real Madrid here to Celtic Park? It's been a long, long time. 1980 is as far back as you have to go to pick out the last time we welcomed Los Blancos to Celtic Park, and it was a magical night. It was a night that Celtic fans who were present at the game will remember very fondly, and we're looking to recreate memories like that tomorrow. It's been a while. Listen, doesn't matter who you're playing tomorrow night, it's going to be a party nonetheless here at Celtic Park because we've waited so long. 2017 was the last time we had Champions League football here at Paradise, and listen, we only have ourselves to blame when it comes to not making it to the competition. We've not been able to get through the qualifiers in previous years. The squad hasn't been good enough. We fell short. But now we're back, and we're back where we belong because Celtic is a side who ultimately deserves to be in the Champions League, and it's nights like this that make Celtic such a special club. It makes Paradise, it makes Celtic Park such a special atmosphere, such a special place. I'm hoping, and this is one thing I just want to get right off the top of this preview, I want to get it out of the way straight away. I want tomorrow night to be as toxic, to be as loud, to be as atmospheric, as special as it was on Saturday. None of this business that Champions League nights have been over the past few years. I remember playing Barcelona here in 2016, and it felt like a touristy sort of environment. We need to get on top of these sides. We need to be loud from start to finish. We need to be vicious in our approach as fans to this game. I'm not saying go out there and abuse Real Madrid players and give them this, that, next thing, but we need to be loud. We need to be those boorish Celtic fans we can be. You know, that's exactly what I want from us. I want us to be on top of them all through the game. And it's going to be tricky. You know, Real Madrid could have us pinned down early on in this game. We don't know. But if we do go one behind, none of this sitting in the seats and being quiet. I want to hear Celtic Park erupt into the cauldron that it is and give us the exact same feeling that we had here on Saturday. It doesn't matter if it's Rangers or not. Whoever is coming here to Celtic Park should be getting that exact same treatment from our support. And I'm hoping that we feel that tomorrow night. It's going to be madness. You know, the Green Brigade are yet again going to produce another fantastic tifo, I'm sure. We're going to hear the voices loud and proud around the stadium as the Champions League anthem plays here for the first time in what 6 years or so. It's going to be crazy, and the thought of it is getting my blood pumping. I cannot wait to be marching in to the turnstiles tomorrow night, a couple of pints down, ready to see Celtic beat Real Madrid. Yes, beat Real Madrid. There is so much to talk about in this preview, and I'm hoping that by the time I get home to edit, I'll have the audio or the video from Celtic to show you from today's press conference. But Ange spoke fantastically today at that press conference, and the same as Matt O'Reilly, and we'll come on to him as well. But Ange especially, Celtic aren't going to change anything heading into this game, and neither they should. You know, there's a few quotes that you'll have already seen by now that emerged from today's press conference when he's asked about the style and the approach. When he's asked about the risk of doing that against a club like Real Madrid and not alternating and playing a style that's maybe more reserved. And he said this and it's stuck and it's ingrained in my head now, and I don't think I'm going to forget it anytime soon, but he said the words, you know, if you can show me a style of football that has no risks attached, I would love to see it. Because no matter how you approach the game tomorrow, no matter how you go and play against Real Madrid, there is risks. Real Madrid are the best side in Europe. They're going to be able to break down any style of football. And yeah, it's great, and Ange Postecoglou said this himself, it's great if you go out and you win the game in a certain way. If you can go here and you can maybe defend and park the bus and you get a result from it, great, fantastic. But this Celtic side is only going to grow. And this Celtic side is only going to get better and learn on a European stage or any stage. They're only going to grow if they play their way. And there's no point in changing that. And there's no point in thinking of different philosophies, because the one that we play just now, the one that we learn every week in training and on the park in the match days, that is the one that should be getting used against every side. That's how you learn. That's how you get better. And I know there will be a lot of people that will have their reservations about that, and they'll be thinking to themselves, Real Madrid are going to stick 4 or 5 past us if we leave ourselves open. But there will be a pragmatic style in the defence. They will know when to move forward more. They'll know what gaps to watch. They'll know what players to keep an eye on. It's not like the players that we have here are naive. We have built what we all agree on right now is the strongest Celtic side in years. And they are going to be far more than capable of turning it on up here, and that's the main thing. If they have it on up here, if they have their brains tuned into the game, they'll know what the right approach is in certain moments of the game, and I don't think we'll need to overthink about all this leaving gaps open. It's going to be difficult, it's going to be a challenge, but you've got to relish that challenge, as Ange Postecoglou said. And if you shy away from it and you try to change things too much, then what do you learn? You don't get anywhere as a team, and it kind of backfires and contradicts everything you're trying to learn as a team. So it was great to hear Ange's thoughts. We'll play some of the press conference if we can, but I admire the confidence of our manager, and no wonder we're going into this feeling like you can get a result.
It's not about being confident to win. All we can do is control our performance. Every game we play, we just try and play the game a certain way and be the best we can be, and that's what we've done in every game so far. That's what we did last year, and that's what we'll try and do tomorrow night. We'll just try and play our football, be the best team we can be, and you know, the end result is often a consequence of you know, good performance, strong performance. So there's no point us thinking about winning or losing or any other result without thinking about, well, first thing we've got to do is make sure we perform, because we know we're playing against, you know, a top football team with some fantastic players, with a brilliant manager, and what we want to do is go out there and be the, you know, offer the best of ourselves to measure up against that. But that's what I mean when I say test ourselves. Like, there's no point playing football a certain way, and then when you get, you know, the opportunity to measure it against the very best, you shy away from it, and you kind of go, well, you know what, let's just try and limit sort of any sort of damage tomorrow night. Then that's not really a test, because you don't know. Because you could go out there tomorrow night and, yeah, you could limit the damage and you might get a win playing a different way, but have you really tested yourself? I don't think you have. So when I say test ourselves, that's what I mean. I mean, we go out there tomorrow night being the football team we have been to this point, and, you know, you measure, then you've got a real measure of where you're at, and if we're short of where we need to be, then we go back, dust ourselves off and work at it again, get a little bit closer next time. But I've always taken these games, anytime I've been involved, as an opportunity to really, you know, as I said, stamp your own sort of identity on a game and see where it takes you. Well, if there's a system that doesn't give you risk, I'd love to hear it, you know. If there's something that you can guarantee me tomorrow night that if I play this way, you're guaranteed to minimise risk, then, but it doesn't exist. Any system you play, any approach you take, there's inherent risk. But there's also sometimes the greater the risk, the greater the opportunity, because you know, we're trying to do things a little bit differently. We don't want to be like every other team, and you know, with that, there's always that possibility that you'll stumble. That's fine. Stumbled in the past. Important thing is you just dust yourself off and keep going.
I know you're a very humble guy, Ange, but just on a personal level, I think this will make you the first Australian manager in group stage, Champions League group stage history. How does that make you feel that you keep setting these accomplishments and stuff? How does it give you a great sense of pride?
Yeah, it does, like I said. I mean, because that's part of the story as well, I guess, because I grew up in Australia, and you kind of, and I know, you know, the most of Australians who love football will be up watching the game, and I'm hoping they feel part of it. They're part of the journey as well. So you do take pride in it, and but you know, again, I'm really conscious that, you know, these kind of things become more sort of important. Hopefully, when I'm, you know, lying on a lounge chair on a Greek beach somewhere in 20 years' time. Right now, my biggest responsibility is to this football club. That's who I represent, beyond anyone else. I represent this football club, its supporters, and I just want to make sure that when we go out there tomorrow night, and every time we go out there, we do them proud, and we put on a performance that, like I said, gives them some joy and some great memories. That's where my greatest responsibility lies, and that's where my focus is.
The Celtic team are on fire at the minute. They are playing football like you wouldn't believe. A 4-0 win, of course, at the weekend against Rangers. Our apparent closest challengers, yes. Real Madrid tomorrow. They're in a bit of a stickier situation, aren't they? I think Celtic are flying high domestically. Real Madrid maybe looking a little less like themselves than they'd want to be. And Carlo Ancelotti himself has commented on the game against Celtic, and he's called it what he thinks their toughest challenge of the opening half of this season. Very high words, very good praise, and Ange Postecoglou was asked about that at today's press conference. And it's great to see a manager like Carlo Ancelotti acknowledging how good Celtic have been, and we have. And no wonder that we all feel like we can get something from this game. Look, there is that possibility that come full time tomorrow night, we're leaving this stadium red in the face, getting a slagging on Twitter because we've been battered 3 or 4-0. But I don't feel like we will, and you can't really fault Celtic fans for feeling like that. I think it's bizarre for anybody of the opposite side to be trying to take us down a peg when we've just battered them 4-0. You know what I mean? I think it's like that meme of homeless man slags somebody's curtains. That's how it feels almost. Look, we might get battered tomorrow night, but I am feeling confident, and I think we should be. You look at the way we're playing right now, we have a team, we have a group of players who can test Real Madrid in all the right areas. Last season in the Champions League group stage, Real Madrid were nowhere near their peak level. They were nowhere near the level of winning the competition. In fact, if you remember rightly, when they qualified for the last 16, a lot of people did not see them reaching the final. A lot of people had them way far away from the odds of winning the competition. And they ended up doing it. Fair play, best team in Europe, there's no doubt about that. They've got players like Benzema at the moment who we'll come on to. But Real Madrid showed in that group stage last season there are weaknesses to exploit. The biggest result, of course, in that entire group stage was them losing at the Bernabeu to Sheriff Tiraspol, who won 2-1 that day. And if anything, Sheriff showed that it is possible. Dare to dream. We showed that 10 years ago. It's almost a bit poetic, isn't it, that nearly 10 years ago to the month, it's November, we beat Barca, but nearly 10 years ago exactly, we beat Barcelona here at Celtic Park when the odds were against us. Now, I don't keep making the comparisons, but that game was 10 years ago. We can all kind of get over it now and stop having to draw the comparisons. But, there is no reason why we shouldn't feel like we can win, because we've got a team and a group of players who I think can exploit the same mistakes that Real showed in games like that against Sheriff last year. We've got forwards like Kyogo, Abada, Jota, Dyson Maeda, who are going to press the living hell out of the Real Madrid defenders. And I think that Real Madrid, for as good a team as they are, they're certainly going to be shocked, I think, when we play at them with the press and the pace of the game that we do. I don't think they're going to anticipate it as strongly as what they've seen so far. Obviously Carlo Ancelotti, one of the greatest managerial minds of all time, is going to read into Celtic. He's going to know what to expect. But I think when that first whistle goes and Celtic press that Real Madrid back line for the first time, I think there's going to be a real sense of surprise in amongst the Real Madrid players. I think they're going to be thinking, right, okay, this is going to be interesting. It's just about how we deal with their approach to that, the response to that. But we've certainly got the brains on the side and the players on the side to go out and deal with what they offer in reply to that. So Real Madrid then, let's talk about the opposition. Champions of Europe, we don't even need to talk much about them. Look at their side. Thibaut Courtois, a defence that has obviously been bolstered with the addition of the likes of Antonio Rudiger. They've got a midfield made up of Luka Modric and Toni Kroos. They've got forwards like Vinicius, and of course, right now, arguably the best player in the world, Karim Benzema. That is a scary, scary team that is visiting Celtic Park tomorrow, and that's only a few names that I've picked out. We spoke to Matt O'Reilly today at the press conference, and I asked him the question. I said, how do you mentally prepare yourself for sharing a midfield with the likes of Toni Kroos, Luka Modric, guys who have ran the park for 10, 15 years at the highest level? And Matt O'Reilly, brilliant response, by the way, fantastic to speak to. I'll play the clip if we can. Spoke about how you can watch these players for years and you try and pick up bits of their game and you try and add it to your own game, and look, he's looking at it as 11 human beings versus 11 human beings. That was his quote, and that's the only way you can approach these games. Once you start to look at these players on a pedestal above you, then you start to get out of grips with the game. Then you start to see it go a little bit further away from you because you're just blowing them up to be something much better than yourself. So this is a team that's beatable. They are the champions of Europe, and we'll give them that respect. But as soon as you start looking at this game as one that's impossible to win, then what's the point? There's no point in turning up if you don't think you can win the game ultimately. So, for as good as a team they are, Celtic certainly can show a sense of fight with the big boys. And listen, last year in the Europa League, there was a sense of progression with Celtic. I know things ended up badly with Bodo Glimt. We'll ignore that for a moment. The knockout stage is completely different box of frogs for Celtic. But in that group stage, we started off poorly. We had a couple of knocks. We got that big defeat, of course, here at Celtic Park to Bayer Leverkusen. but we progressed really well. And by the end of the group, with the two results right at the end, we showed such improvement, I think. You know, we went away to Leverkusen, we played incredibly well, we were very unlucky. We beat Ferencvaros, and we beat Real Betis back here at Celtic Park. We showed continual progression, and now it's about taking that progression on to the next stage, on to the Champions League, and showing how far we've came as a unit. And I think we can do that tomorrow night. I just have a good feeling.
Matt, it's not every week you get the chance to share the park with players like Luka Modric and Toni Kroos, etc. How do you mentally prepare yourself for that sort of challenge? How excited are you to test yourself in the middle of the park with guys like that?
Yeah, I think that's my approach. It's more of a test of where I'm at. I'm more looking forward to it than anything. Obviously, these guys I've watched when I was growing up, and things I've watched from them I've added to my game in a sense. So yeah, just excited to see where me and the boys stand against them. I know that they're quality players, but once we're on the pitch, to me they're just another footballer. You know, we're Celtic and they're Real Madrid, but just 11 human beings versus another 11 human beings, in my opinion.
I would have loved to have a guest on today. I would have loved a wee discussion. It's all happening so fast. I would have loved to have done so much more special content heading into these huge games, but everything's happened so quickly with the derby, and of course now this. Such a limited time in between. Of course, at the press conference today. I guess the special part is I got to speak to Ange Postecoglou, and I cannot complain about that. So Ange, what's your team going to be tomorrow? I asked the question. Let's do my starting 11 predictions. I'm making one change from the side that started against Rangers at the weekend.
Right, so I thought I'd pop in the middle of the video while I'm editing just to give a quick little update on my sort of squad prediction here before I talk anymore. One thing I completely forgot amongst all the excitement was the squad update. One of the massive conversations heading into the press conference today and the game tomorrow. Kyogo Furuhashi, he's training with the side. It looks as though he'll be fit and available to play the game against Real Madrid tomorrow. Unfortunately, on the other hand, Carl Starfelt doesn't look as though he will be available to play. He's going to be off on the sidelines for a little bit more of a knock. Glad to hear Kyogo's fine. Absolutely gutted for Carl Starfelt, knowing that he'll probably miss out this game against Real Madrid, considering how big it is. But I completely forgot all about that when I was doing my squad prediction, so I think that there will be changes made to the team that started against Rangers at the weekend. Will Giakoumakis come in and start the game? Maybe so, maybe he will. One thing we do know is Moritz Jens will more than likely start alongside Cameron Carr-Vickers. So ignore everything I'm saying in the background. While I talk, the majority of it still applies, but on the graphic I will put why I actually think the team is, with the changes that have to be considered considering the fitness. I have a feeling Kyogo might still start the game, but precautions, maybe Giakoumakis will start.
And you're going to call me bizarre, and I'm going to contradict absolutely everything I said about this, the reason I wanted them to start the derby, but I'm taking Liel Abada out the side, and I'm putting in Dyson Maeda for the game against Real Madrid tomorrow night. Why, you may ask? I just think that Dyson Maeda, with his pace and his press especially, is going to be so important against Real Madrid. The quality that they possess on the ball, I think we're going to need the pace in his legs to try and beat the fullbacks, to try and apply that press. I think he's just going to be more of a key element to the game in the opening stages than what Liel Abada could be. Liel Abada, and I wanted him to start the derby, and rightfully so, because he rewarded us with 2 goals. And it's hard to drop a player who's just scored 2 goals in a game like that. But I just think Maeda's qualities as a player really suit the opening exchanges of a Champions League tie against a side like Real Madrid. People may make the case for midfield changes. They might want to see a more defensive unit start the game. They might want to see an Aaron Moy. They might want to see even an Abildgaard play. But look, listen, we're going to realistically stick with that middle three that bossed the park against Rangers at the weekend. So that is my starting 11 prediction. And finally, just to wrap it up as someone walks in the background, my score prediction. Christ, how do you even predict a score for a game like Celtic versus Real Madrid? How do I remain the optimistic fan that I am, but also look at it with a sense of realism? How do I not get laughed at come the full-time whistle? You play it safe and you give it a draw, don't you? Say 1-0. No, listen, realistically this is going to be the toughest challenge that Ange Postecoglou has faced yet as Celtic managers. Absolutely no doubt about that. Real Madrid, kings of Europe. You've got to manage your expectations. You don't, but as Ange said today, you don't want to burst that bubble. Why burst the bubble at the moment? If we lose, we lose. It's nothing to worry about. But we have a really solid chance of winning the game. So I'm going to predict a Celtic win. Yeah, I'm going to do it. 1-0. There you go. Mic drop. That's me ending the video there. Let's do this. it'll be fun talking to you tomorrow after the game. I cannot wait. The atmosphere's going to be electric. Enjoy yourselves, and we'll have as much content at the channel as possible over the next few days. But from me just now, that's all. It's going to be a late one tonight, editing this. So, yeah, see you all next time.